the European Central Bank have always indicated 2 points of this debate. Firstly, that the tools that they are deploying are clearly having a very profound effect in supporting governments and their people in responding back to COVID-19, and that further tools are available to them. But what they've also said is that it's really important that the impact of monetary policy be multiplied by coordinated budgetary action across the European Union. And that is now what is happening. You're seeing the European Union come together in, as I said a moment ago, an unprecedented way to develop the kind of budgetary tools that, when deployed in a coordinated way with the actions of the European Central Bank, will show the real power and impact of the euro in particular, and will show that the coordinated efforts of members of the European Union and their central bank, that we can achieve far more together than we could individually. And this is what is happening. And I'm very confident that you're going to see the higher effects of this kind of coordinated activity next year and beyond.
Minister, you have arguably one of the hardest finance jobs in Europe at the moment. You're staring down the barrel of an 8.5% contraction in the economy this year because of coronavirus, and you could also see your tax revenue shredded thanks to changes in international tax laws. And earlier this week we heard from Germany's finance minister, who suggested there will be a blueprint for changes to international corporation tax by fall. That is the digital tax, which clearly you benefit from with so many tech subsidiaries, and also when it comes to the minimum tax corporation tax. There are estimates that $2 billion could be taken out of your coffers as a result of these changes. What's your plan?
Well, we have always participated very constructively in the global debate and indeed change in corporate tax policy. Many features of our corporate tax code that were the subject of debate over recent years have now been changed, or in some cases are gone. And all of the commitments that we have in terms of change that we need to make under the current BEPS process, we've embraced and we've implemented. And as we've made those changes, we've actually seen our corporate tax revenue increase. All that being said, there is change coming from a global corporate tax perspective, and Ireland wants to be part of this change, but also try to find an equilibrium between the change that is needed and also the ability of, in particular, small countries to be competitive. So as I look at the change that's underway and is due to come, I think there's 2 points that are important for Ireland. The first one is the need for us to constructively participate in the work that's underway in the OECD, which we're going to do. And secondly, we've made so many changes within our economy in recent years, made so many changes in our broader tax policy, to try to give our economy now the breadth that it has now, that it didn't have maybe a decade ago or beyond that. So we will be ready for those kind of changes when they come. They may well pose challenges for our economy, but I'm very confident that we will be able to respond to them and ensure that the Irish economy still has a very sustainable revenue base and continues to have the kind of tools available to it to allow it to be competitive.
Minister, can I ask you about timing then for changes to a digital tax? Because given the pushback by the Americans, it felt as though the story had fallen away as a 2020 story. But is a digital tax still possible this year?
I think it is possible. I think the rumours of the demise of the OECD process were somewhat overstated. I think the process that's underway in the OECD at the moment I would describe as being paused for many political reasons that you and your viewers will be aware of. What I expect to see happen is I expect to see that process reactivated later on in the year. And while I think some kind of agreement is possible in 2020, my own view is that it would be more likely that you would see some of this work conclude in the early part of next year. But I believe the OECD is capable of yielding an outcome in relation to this. And the reason why the OECD work is so important is it does offer the best prospect to policymakers of being able to find some agreement in relation to taxation without further destabilising global trade. And with all that we have going on in the global economy at the moment, I think it is incumbent on all of us to try to find ways of making progress on tax issues without it heightening trade difficulties that are already there.